Craig.
Nicholas.
What's going on?
What's up, baby?
How we
feeling?
Oh, that kind of night.
It's Alexis Diaz night, baby. We gotta break out the glasses, even if it's literally just a piece of paper that I tore a couple holes in.
I mean, you texted me last night at like 2:30 in the morning, and you're like, "Why did you let me wear these glasses? I look so stupid." And then you put it back on yourself. Like, yeah,
well,
like I
think I had some very specific language that I used last night at 2:30 in the morning that we won't repeat on this show. But yeah, I look like an idiot, but I don't really care. I'll look like an idiot if it means that we get outs and that we get out of this unscathed. And here we go. Now with my glasses, Alexis Diaz has retired 4 straight. So I probably just jinxed it if you believe in jinxes.
I kind of feel like a commercial break in the middle of the top of the 9th is a jinx. Like, what the hell is that, Bally? Like, did they really just go full commercial break, split screen, 1 out, top of the 9th, 2-run game? What are we doing?
Well, we don't really see enough Miami Valley gaming commercials during the game as it is. So they want to make sure we get one more in there just to make sure you remember that brand in case you haven't, if you don't forget it or remember it from all the other broadcasts that they show it throughout the game. I think you're ahead of me. So based on your reaction, maybe these glasses.
I just saw the 1-2. I just saw the pitch that became the 1-2, the second strike.
Okay, I'm about to get that.
Okay, I'll do a little.
I just got 1-2.
All right, I paused at 5 on the pitch count clock, so I need you to tell me when it gets 13, to like 10.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8,
all right,
7,
play.
6, 5, 4, 3. If you're a little ahead, it's fine. Close enough. For those of you watching along with us, it's 2-2 Picro Armstrong in to pinch hit. Alexis Diaz on the mound. He recorded a first out already with Dan B. Swanson, and PCA with a soft liner to center field. And
I'm behind. What the hell?
Oh,
I'm going back. I'm just going back to where I was. Yeah, we screwed something up there.
Two down. 2 down.
All right. I'm live now.
Nick. We got 2, Nick.
Strike 1.
You're way ahead.
Yeah, we're rolling with it now, baby. Need some likes, folks. Need some likes.
Michael Bush, strike 1.
All right.
I'll just watch Game Time, and then if something happens on Game Time, I'll react to that as if I'm seeing it in real time. And then I'll watch it actually happen on my TV during the 4-minute intro when we win this game.
I increased the intro to 7 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Appropriate.
I'm just kidding, chat. I'm kidding.
What if we just add a minute for every win in the win streak?
Oh, I like that.
Tonight it would become 6 if we can hold on and win this one.
Or we threaten them. So if we don't get like 300 likes, it adds a minute. Like, and then if it's 250, it's 2 minutes, and I like that idea.
There you go.
I mean, threatening your viewers is always a sound strategy. I mean,
yeah. Viewers love the negativity and
yeah.
Oh
yeah, I got to tweet about this because I think the guys are driving back. I don't know. I got to tweet. We're live. Let's see if we can screenshot this.
Oh God.
All right. Craig, do like a point at your screen.
A point at my screen.
A point. All right. It's gonna be a flawless.
Did I execute your vision there, Nick?
You nailed it.
All right, good. Are they pinch hitting for Miguel Amaya, or is Amaya gonna hit? Amaya's gonna hit. Here we go. Come on, Diaz. Nick, we're not doing this.
Oh, it's off the wall. It's off the wall. It's off the wall. All right. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's just a cheap run.
Wow. That almost got out of here, huh?
Yeah, it looked off the bat.
Come on.
One of the rare balls hit the left field that's GABP, I think, might have stole from a few others.
Yeah.
Maybe not. It was trailing down pretty well, but
thank God for that high wall.
Yeah.
It's crushed.
Blake Dunn trying to make a Stuart Fairchild game-ending highlight catch.
Yeah, like, what are we doing?
I mean,
I guess it doesn't really matter at that point, right? I mean,
as long as they don't give up an inside the park home run. I mean,
yeah.
Which out there in left field, unless your center fielder just trips over his feet, I think you're safe.
All right, Diaz, come on.
Nico Horner, he was some of the X-rays I saw with him earlier today, where he might have to go on the IL. This is like, I guess, his only role right now.
Oh, he's pinch running, yeah.
Likes.
Come on, Diaz. Come on, Diaz. I don't know where you're at, Nick. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Right.
Where are you at?
All right. I'm at 0-2. I'm at 0-2, baby.
All right.
I gotta be honest. I don't know here if Diaz should just go after him because Wisdom has so much swing and miss against right-handed pitches.
Yeah, don't mess around.
Yeah.
Don't mess around.
I know, like, there's always the whole thing of, like, an 0-2 cookie and all that kind of stuff. But with Diaz and Wisdom's, like, one thing against a right-handed pitcher is he's a lot of times his best ability is going to be to try to draw a walk. I don't think you can just get cute and throw him outside. I don't think he's going to chase, is what I'm getting at. End of story. And those weren't even remotely close.
Right.
Those two. Come on, Diaz.
He's certainly not going to chase a ball that goes 58 feet. That's for sure.
Out of play.
Wisdom's battling.
He's a fighting.
Come on, baby. Let's go.
I think you saw it ahead of me, Craig. I haven't even saw the game. How did you get ahead of me?
I'm not ahead of you. I'm watching Game Day. Let's go, Nick.
Let's go.
6 in a row.
Oh.
6 straight, baby.
All right.
The Cubs suck.
Like the stream.
Roll the intro.
Like the stream.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Done up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy moly, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
What's going on, friends? Welcome to Chatterbox Reds, proudly sponsored by DSC Commodities. Nick Kirby, Craig Sandlin. The Reds have won 6 in a row. How about that, Craig? How about it?
Listen, it's an honor to be a part of it, Nick. An honor to be a part of it. Last year, you and Trace got a chance to experience a 12-game win streak. We're halfway there. The team feels like they are finding their stride for sure. Not the prettiest game offensively tonight, but the pitching staff continues to show its value. And yet another quality outing from Nick Lodolo. Just a exciting time to be a Reds fan, despite what you see on X.com.
Yeah, your Cincinnati Reds are tied for a playoff spot. How about that, baby? And hey, if the Arizona Diamondbacks win tonight, still to come, Reds can even move further up. So apparently the season was not dead as it stood. All right, a lot to get into tonight. Let's see. Do we have any super chats? I got 443 comments from the chat that I have not read. We do have one super chat. Let's go ahead and knock that out right now. Bryce Sizemore, $4.99. Just want this to be known that if it wasn't for Dunn and Stu, this game is going bottom 9. Little things make the difference. That's a great point, Bryce. The Big Red Platoon is alive and well. That is definitely one of the topics on tonight's show that we will definitely be talking about. But Craig, as we always do, Can you give the folks a box score recap?
Let's do it, Nick. Let's do it. We're going to pick this one up in the 4th inning. The Reds got their first base runner of the game when Elly De La Cruz walked. He would steal second on a pickoff attempt, beating the tag at the base. And then Spencer Steer would strike out swinging, but a pass ball wild pitch allowed him to reach and De La Cruz to advance to third. Tyler Stevenson would break up the no-hitter, rifling a ball down the left field line for a 2-run double to give the Reds a 2-0 lead through 4. Nick Lodolo labored a bit through the first 2 innings, throwing 45 pitches over those 2 innings, but then after 2 clean innings in the 3rd and 4th, Nick Lodolo allowed a single to right field off the bat of Michael Busch in the 5th. He would also hit Patrick Wisdom on the front foot on a breaking ball, and Seiya Suzuki would come up with 2 outs and 2 men on. After working a full count, Suzuki would take a fastball on the inside corner that was called ball 4 to load the bases. Cody Bellinger, the dangerous one, would come up and swing at the first pitch, a fastball, and pop out to third base to end the threat. In the bottom of the 5th, Blake Dunn would come to the plate with 2 outs and drive a first pitch fastball up the middle for his first career hit, receiving a standing ovation from the crowd. He would hustle out of the box and end up on second for a double. Leadoff hitter Stuart Fairchild would follow suit, driving yet another ball up the middle for an RBI single, extending the Reds' lead to 3-0. In the 6th, Lodolo retired the first 2 batters on only 3 total pitches. Dansby Swanson would then send a 1-1 changeup out to right center field to get the Cubs on the board, trailing 3-1. Lodolo would get David Bote to fly out to center to end the inning, and it would also end Lodolo's day. Final line on the day for Nick Lodolo: 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 hit by pitch on 99 pitches. Martinez would get a clean 7th. Justin Wilson would retire the Cubs in the 8th. And then in the 9th, it was time for Alexis Diaz. He'd retire the first 2 batters on fly balls to center, but then Michael Busch walked and Miguel Amaya would drive a ball off the left field wall for an RBI double. Diaz would buckle down, though, and get Patrick Wisdom to strike out swinging, giving the Cubs giving the Reds a 3-2 win and improved to 31-33 on the season, tying them for second place in the division with these Cubs and picking up their 6th straight win.
What a time to be alive. All right. We did not have a home run from the Reds game. Who really cares? But we always have a DSC deep drive of the game. We actually have a really cool one tonight. Ariel Almonte hit his 13th home run for the Daytona Tortugas. Almonte, 13 home runs, the most in the Florida State League. No one else has more than 9. In fact, last year, no one hit more than 20 for the entire season. So Almonte showing some crazy power down in the Florida State League. His home run tonight was not a cheap one, 112.6 off the bat, 412 feet. And our DSC Deep Drive of the Day, sponsored as always by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks as always to our friends at DSC. All right, we got one more super chat. Going to go ahead and knock that out of the way. We'll get to some more when we get towards the middle of the show, if more come in. Big Red Machine. Reds just broke the Cubs' hearts. Blake Dunn's first hit looked exactly like McLean's first hit, 6 in a row. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about Blake Dunn and Stuart Fairchild and the Big Red Platoon. Appreciate you as always for tuning in. Big Red Machine. All right, Craig, let's start off just talking about Nick Lodolo. His consistency is just been incredible this year for a guy that barely pitched last year, a guy that started the year on the IL, a guy that had to go back on the IL. It was a short stint, but he's just consistent. It feels like you expect you would almost be shocked if Nick Lodolo comes out and gives up more than 2 or 3 runs on any given night. Nick Lodolo's consistency to me is just something that is incredibly remarkable for a guy that today was his 36th career big league start.
Yeah, he's been really impressive in his young career, obviously. I thought tonight he came out of the box a little bit wild, a little bit erratic. I'm not really sure what to make of that, other than the fact that it just didn't seem like he had his control early on. Like I mentioned in the box score recap, through 45 pitches in those first 2 innings, and then settled in and ended up only throwing 54 for the remaining 4 innings that he threw. So settled in nicely. I thought that was really important. And like you said, he's just consistent. I mean, I know that, he's young and there's going to be, outings that are less than ideal, but like every time you go out there, it just feels confident. And I think part of it is that Nick Lodolo himself is just so calm, cool, and collected on the mound. It doesn't feel like he ever gets rattled. And so like as a fan, then I don't ever get rattled. It's interesting. You watch Nick Martinez come in and he's getting all pumped up about the Elly play, and he's like, over the top. He's like the complete opposite of Nick Lodolo, who you watching him would have no idea what's going on in the game and where the Reds stand. And he just has always been that way. And I think that really probably plays into his consistency, as he's not too high, he's not too low. A little bit of what David Bell talks about as a whole in terms of his managerial style. So Nick Lodolo almost feels like a representation of David Bell out on the field during the game.
Yeah, I just and yeah, he's wild, but it seems like he's always able to rein it in somehow. And today his velocity was up a little bit. So it's crazy. I know I saw someone tweeting out Nick Lodolo. I think it was our good pal Shay was tweeting out about how Nick Lodolo has to lead the league in 2-strike hit by pitches. But I mean, maybe that's part of like what makes him effective. It's like 0-2 count, man. You have no idea. It might hit you right in the foot. I mean, with his curveball, just it really sometimes you have no idea where it's going. But yeah, Nick Lodolo, I mean, just having a great season. It's fun, as we talked about last night, having Hunter Green pitch, then Nick Lodolo pitch. Tomorrow we'll get to see Andrew Abbott, who really has been right up there with those two. So this is it's a fun starting rotation. Maybe not so much fun for the Chicago Cubs right now, but it's definitely fun if you are a Reds fan. All right, let's go right to Tyler Stevenson next. I know you've been leading the charge, leading the brigade of the Tyler Stevenson. He had a huge hit in this game. Tyler Stevenson, 2 more hard hit balls today. Reds, in fact, I mean, they only had 4 hard hit balls the entire game. Reds only had 1 walk. So, I mean, this is a game that, man, this is a tough game to lose. Tough game to lose if you're a Chicago Cubs fan.
Tough game to lose. Every game's a tough game to lose if you're a Cubs fan, right? You want to leave the stadium listening to your song. But yeah, Tyler Stevenson yet again tonight. Hard hit double down that left field line in the 4th inning with driving 2 runs. I mean, we talked about it on the show last night. We don't need to go into it again in depth tonight, but like Tyler Stevenson over the last couple of weeks has just shown such significant progression in his approach at the plate and the way he's attacking the ball. I mean, Barry Larkin was talking. It's almost like Barry Larkin listened to our podcast. I don't know if you felt like that over the course of the broadcast tonight, but he was talking a lot about the things that we were talking about last night. So Tyler Stevenson, at the end of the day, he's going to take the ball where the pitcher gives it to him. And tonight he gave it to him on the inside part of the plate. Tyler Stevenson, seeing the ball really well tonight, was able to attack it and drive that ball down the left field line and give the Reds a 2-run lead that they wouldn't give up. So, yeah, I mean, what more is there to say about Tyler Stevenson at this point other than the fact that he's potentially one of the best offensive players on this team in this moment? That pitch was on the inside of the plate, it was slider, and he ripped it 103.3 miles an hour down the line.
All right, the big red platoon. Stuart Fairchild, of course, drove in Blake Dunn. So you really saw it kind of in full effect in that 5th inning. A really big insurance, but Blake Dunn gets his first career hit, a double. Stuart Fairchild then singles him in. This is just exactly the way it's drawn up, and it's such a breath of fresh air to see these guys finally in their correct role, being able to produce. This is exactly what the Reds front office, what David Bell had planned going into the year, and you're finally starting to see it. And the Reds still don't have everyone back, but they've kind of got enough guys to at least put a lot of the guys into their proper role. But Blake Dunn, a nice night from him. Obviously, he did have a situation where he had a runner on third, less than 2 outs, didn't drive him in, but still, I mean, it was great to see him, get his first big league hit. A ball was hit 100 miles an hour. I think Blake Dunn, I don't know if Blake Dunn this year in 2024 can solidify a platoon spot, but I do feel pretty confident that this is a kind of player that could solidify a platoon outfield spot at least. Maybe more. He might be more than that. I'm not going to say that's all he could be, but I definitely think he has a future as a guy that can be that fourth, fifth outfielder, maybe the next Stuart Fairchild if the Reds, let Stuart Fairchild go, or, they could use both of them. We don't want to get into what the Reds are going to do next year on June 7th. But I definitely think Blake Dunn has a future in this type of role.
For sure. And first and foremost, shout out to Blake Dunn. Congratulations. First career hit tonight in that double up the middle. I saw on X.com someone, I don't remember who it was. I apologize. Shoot me a DM and I'll give you some credit next time. But someone compared him almost like a right-handed TJ Friedl. And you saw it a little bit tonight, the way he hustled out of the box on that double. That wasn't a surefire double. He turned it into a double with his hustle. And ultimately, Stuart Fairchild was able to drive him in because of that hustle. If he doesn't hustle out of that box, turn that single into a double, then the Reds at this point may still be playing. So, a big play from Blake Dunn in that inning to hustle out of the box despite having a 2-0 lead, knowing that it could be the difference, especially with 2 outs in that inning. And so, yeah, Blake Dunn has shown an ability early on. I think he's scored in every game he's played in so far, which is certainly interesting as well. He's getting on base. You mentioned the fact that he didn't have a chance or didn't drive in the run in the 7th inning. They talked about it on the broadcast. I'm interested in your opinion on it. I mean, that ball ended up being caught in short right field for sure, but it was caught by a backpedaling David Bote, who doesn't have the strongest arm and was going backwards away from the plate. Friedl never, in watching the replay, Friedl never even was on the base to try and tag up, which I thought was interesting. I mean, if that ball drops, you're scoring anyway. So there's no reason not to tag up on that play. I thought it was, I don't know, Friedl just seemed to be caught in no man's land there. And, not saying that Blake Dunn did his job by any means in that situation, but also like it could have ended a little bit different with a different approach from TJ Friedl. So, at that point in the game, you have a 3-0 lead. Does being aggressive and trying to extend it to 4 make a big, or I guess it was 3-1 at that point. Does being aggressive and extending it to 4-1 make that big of a difference? I don't know. Having a 3-run lead sounds a lot better than having a 2-run lead for sure. And having a 2-run lead sure sounds better than having a 1-run lead. So it is what it is. Blake Dunn didn't do his job in that inning, but he picked up his first career hit, scored another run. And like you mentioned, Stuart Fairchild did what he was supposed to do, 1 for 4 on the day. The one thing I'll say about Stuart Fairchild, and this is one of the topics I wanted to talk on with you today a little bit, Nick, was just having him back in the leadoff position tonight after the last couple of weeks. You got guys like TJ Friedl who have reverse splits on their career, who's been in your leadoff spot. I felt like Friedl had done enough to earn being in the leadoff spot moving forward. Stuart Fairchild ends up getting the leadoff spot, and in his 4 at-bats faces 7 total pitches. And, not to dig too much into it, the Reds as a whole had a lot of at-bats that ended with early attacking of Justin Steele tonight. So again, could have been approach-based, but out of that leadoff hitter, you kind of expect him to work at-bats a little bit more. And interested your take on Fairfield or Fairchild. Wow, my Cincinnati roots coming out there. Stuart Fairchild batting leadoff tonight for the Reds.
I mean, I think it speaks more about what Stuart Fairchild's done than TJ Friedel's ability to hit both right-handed and left-handed pitching. I mean, Stuart Fairchild came in 333, 421 average, 500 slugging. That's a 921 OPS against left-handed pitching. So the Reds have been rolling with that. I don't blame them for sticking with that. It was pretty clear the Reds' plan against Justin Steele was to be aggressive. And, I don't want to say it worked or didn't work because ultimately they did only score 3 runs. Steele got through 7 innings, only gave up 4 hard hit balls. So this is honestly, if you're being pretty fair, a pretty tough luck loss for the Cubs. But, that being said, I mean, you look at Justin Steele, he has some pretty good put away pitches. He's a guy that you don't want to get behind in the count on. So I don't like it worked in terms of, you got the win, but I wouldn't say it worked, but I think that was all approach based with Stuart Fairchild. I don't think that was. I think Stuart can see pitches if the approach coming into the game, the pre-plan coming into the game was different. But I think that was really more of a team wide thing. I don't have the stats about how many pitches every single batter saw all night in front of me, but I would imagine the Reds overall were much more aggressive than you'll probably see them throughout the year.
Yeah, the Reds as a whole tonight had 8 at-bats that ended on the first pitch.
Yeah.
So, for sure it's an approach thing. I think in general over the last couple of games, you've really seen that approach from the Reds regardless of the pitcher, though. So it may be overall just a different approach to how they're coming to the bat, regardless of Justin Steele or any other pitcher. It does feel like they're attacking earlier in the count. I mentioned it even last night and the last couple of times we've done shows that it felt like they were doing that. Last night they had 4 at bats that ended in the first pitch. So, it could be an approach thing. Could be something else, but they did it again in the 8th against Smiley. De La Cruz swung at the first pitch that he saw. So, if that's what it takes for this offense to get going is to being aggressive in the box, count me in.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it in Colorado, the Reds, the first 2 games did not walk 1 time. And then the third game, they walked 6 times. So I don't know I think there probably is a little bit more of overall aggression, but I think it probably was more about the individual pitchers on those days. And, credit the Reds scouting report. It seems, scouting department, they seem to be, picking their spots well right now as everything's rolling well. We'll see how it continues on. But let's stop and take a quick word about our proud sponsors here of Chatterbox Reds. We'll start off with the Game Time app. It seems like going down to Great America Ballpark and seeing the Cincinnati Reds is probably a good thing to do right now. I know that the vibes are high, and so why don't you take advantage of the Game Time app? Because the Game Time app is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seats, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. The lowest price guaranteed or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CINCY, CINCY, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime at all, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether you're in immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between. And so 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. And if you know someone who's a Chicago Cubs fan, a team that hasn't been able to beat anyone other than the Chicago White Sox, who've lost 155 games in a row, be sure you pass on 988 to them. All right, the bullpen. How about the bullpen? How about Nick Martinez? Kind of surprised he only went for an inning. I mean, feels like the Reds have kind of got Martinez maybe a little more into a matchup guy. I mean, it's more about the fact that the Red starters, Green yesterday, Lodolo today, both going deep into the game. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. Nick Martinez just one inning. Justin Wilson, looked pretty sharp. Him getting through a whole inning as well. We'll talk about Alexis Diaz in a second, but those two guys, anything about those two guys in particular? And were you surprised Nick Martinez only 11 pitches and done?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely surprised that Nick Martinez was 11 pitches and done. I think that a great role for Nick Martinez with this team is if a starting pitcher goes 6 innings, he comes in, gets 2 innings, and then turns the ball over to Alexis Diaz for a win, hopefully. Tonight, ultimately, though, he went 1, 2, 3, and the first 2 batters due up for the Cubs in the 8th were now left-handed batter Mike Tauchman and left-handed batter Cody Bellinger. And so David Bell opts to go with the lefty-lefty matchup with Justin Wilson. Worked out for them just fine. Wilson gives up the leadoff single to Mike Tauchman, but then gets Cody Bellinger to fly out and then back-to-back fielders' choices to get out of the inning. So worked out well. The bullpen as a whole has just been seemingly really good for almost this entire season, if we're being honest. Like it's been solid. So we talked about how when Nick Lodolo's on the mound, how you just have that kind of calm confidence, like especially with Nick Martinez when he's coming out of the bullpen. Like I have that same feeling, and I have that same feeling when a lot of these guys come out of the bullpen. When Fernando Cruz comes out of the bullpen, I feel like he's gonna shut it down. So it's a good feeling to have, because there hasn't always been the case where Reds fans have been confident, I guess, in their bullpen.
Yeah, and then Alexis Diaz, he does give up a run, 3 hard hit balls. So not his sharpest outing. Again, I'm concerned with Diaz, but I don't think he's at the point where you make a drastic move yet. I don't think you're there. It just to me feels like it would be overreaching. But the bullpen as a whole, we had talked about it. We had talked about how the Reds offense is going to come back towards, water's going to find its level with the offense. But the last thing you want when that happens is for your bullpen to blow some of these games. And that would have just been an absolute backbreaker to the season. The Reds have crawled their way back into a playoff positioning and all that kind of stuff. So for the bullpen to, step up and secure these wins and keep this win streak alive, that's just really huge, because that would have been the thing that really could have, if the season was going to get off the rails, that would have maybe been the reason that it did, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, so far it hasn't come to fruition. It hasn't been an issue. It's interesting. I mean, we're having the conversation now about the depth and which pieces are going to have to be optioned when guys are healthy, and which guys are going to move to the bullpen and which are going to move to AAA and all of these things. So, what was potentially a concern coming in is now a piece where the Reds should feel pretty confident in their depth and the fact that they have the pieces in place to be able to be successful. And should an injury pop up or anything like that, that they have the pieces to be able to address that as well and bring guys up that are ready to pitch in the major leagues. So the bullpen has been a highlight for sure. You mentioned we want to talk about it, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Alexis Diaz gives up his second earned run in his last 9 outings. Doesn't sound like a lot. I know some people are concerned with, for me personally, the walk number is more concerning than it is anything else. This is now his 4th straight outing giving up a walk. He gave up a walk tonight to Michael Busch, who came around to score. It just, like, that's the piece that's going to have to be figured out. Starting with the month of May through tonight, he's now walked 12 batters in 12 1/3 innings. And to me, that's the bigger issue than the hard hit balls. I think, ultimately that we saw the ball off Miguel Amaya's bat. But that ball doesn't mean anything if he doesn't give up that walk to Michael Busch. And so for me, the issue is giving up the free passes. So if Alexis Diaz can find a way to stop giving up the free passes, 13 of which, if you include a hit by pitch over that span, that'll put him in a much better position. But I mean, I talked about it in the offseason. There's going to come a time where offensive players are going to come in up to the plate and make Alexis Diaz throw them strikes, because the majority of his pitches are not in the strike zone. And so he's been able to get chases on chases on chases for the last 2 years. And that's kind of driven a lot of his success. If the batters stop chasing those outside sliders, then he's going to have to figure out another pitch or figure out a way to throw that slider for a strike, or more importantly, throw that slider starting a little bit farther inside so that it's at least enticing that chase a little bit better. But when the ball's ending up a foot outside, very few batters are going to end up chasing that.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess also, I think like just kind of, rounding out where the Reds are at with Diaz, there's only really two guys right now that I think you would feel would be a surefire better option in an inning in a closer role than Diaz. And that's Fernando Cruz and Nick Martinez. Obviously, you're not moving Nick Martinez out of his role because he throws sometimes 3-4 innings at a time. And Fernando Cruz, I've said it several times, I love that he can be like that fireman. He can get you out of that spot. Diaz is not going to do that role. I do not think he would be successful at all in that role. And then you get on the rest of the bullpen, like Emilio Pagan just came back off the IL. Lucas Sims has been shaky at times. Sam Mullen, Brent Suter, and Justin Wilson are all lefties. You don't really want guys that you use as matchup guys as a closer. So you just got to keep riding out with Diaz. And a good point from Nick Mormon in the chat about how his FIP is right around league average. Again, that's not what you want out of your closer, but he is probably due for some positive regression. And thankfully, it hasn't really been an issue this year. I mean, somehow most of Diaz's blowups have come in games where it didn't really cost the Reds the game, or they weren't going to win anyways. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned a little bit with Diaz. But right now, I don't think there's any the trade-off is worth it right now at this point.
Well, and just to throw it out there, I think Steve Ross mentioned it in the chat earlier tonight. This is now twice that Alexis Diaz has pitched us into 1-run wins. So the Reds now on the season. Yep. The Reds now on the season 3-11 in 1-run games. So shout out to Alexis Diaz. We're trying to take one for the team and improve the record on 1-run wins instead of focusing on himself. He's just trying to do what's best for the team. So shout out to Steve Ross for calling that out earlier. And just remember, Nick, I mean, those 1-run games and that record in 1-run games is really telling, let me tell you.
Yeah. I mean, if the Reds had won by 2 runs, it would have not been a clutch win. But because Alexis Diaz helped the Reds back in to the win as a team guy, now the Reds are finally being clutch. I've been begging for the Reds to be clutch. And tonight they were clutch. Thank you. All right, let's get to some supers. Mark Fetters, let's go Reds. Let's go Reds. Appreciate you, Mark. We also got a super chat from a guy named Michael Rolfe. He said, I will not super chat tonight. I promise I won't. Or DM Mark. I promise I won't. And this one belongs to the Reds. You know what? Why don't we hear from the man himself? Michael Rolfe, welcome to Chatterbox Reds. What's going on?
You win some, you lose some. So today, can you hear me?
You're great.
Baby. Craig, this one's for you.
Let's go. Well, starting lineup action figure, huh? Love it.
So I was thinking about what I would say when you guys would let me come on here, and I thought it was most important to say never, ever, ever tie-dye shirts with your kids. Don't do it. I just did it literally 30 minutes ago. It's everywhere. I'm wearing it. It's awful. If you want a tattoo, if that's what you believe in, do it. But otherwise, don't. And then also, I had a little solution for Trace's problem. Go to Amazon.com. You can buy a wearable basketball hoop. And it does come with a basketball, an inflatable basketball, but still travelable. You can wear that and dunk. But for the boys, and I don't condone drinking, I'm just saying, but I will do this for the Reds. They won. New glass, gigantic, enormous bottle.
Eagle Rare.
Eagle Rare, of
Eagle
course.
Rare.
Of course.
They don't make these anymore, I don't think. The
Oh, yeah.
1.75, this is Elly De La Cruz's baseball bat. So I'm going to pour one for the Reds. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, Michael Rolfe. Oh man, what a legend. I kind of feel like you should have maybe like a daily Twitter video where it's like that NBC The More You Know. Like you should give some public service announcements every day. Like today would have been don't tie dye with your kids. I mean, I'm sure tomorrow you'd come up with something great. I don't know, maybe Chatterbox can partner with you on this. Maybe we could get like you to post your daily tip of the day with Michael Rolfe. I kind of feel like it's a hit.
I mean, here's the thing. I've got a wild life, truly. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff, good stuff, bad stuff. Got to power through, and that's it at the end of the day. And yes, I would do that as long as Jeremiah's involved, because he seems like me 15 years ago.
Jeremiah is one of a kind, an absolute legend in the making. I do see some of Jeremiah in you. Ned Flanders super chatted. He said, "I like my Eagle Rare with Red Bull."
You know what? Teach their own. You know what?
Yeah, I don't want to rain on his parade. I tell you what, though, man, you have some Eagle Rare with some Red Bull. I mean, you're ready to go, right? I mean, you could take on the world.
I mean, this thing is gigantic. I mean,
I just appreciate that you broke open that giant bottle just for Chatterbox Reds. I mean,
me and Craig are
a little bit.
Me and Craig are over here drinking Seagram, and he's got a bottle of Eagle Rare bigger than my head. All right, well, let's talk about the Reds, Mr. Michael Rolfe. How about the Reds? 6 in a row. I mean, where's the vibes at the Rolfe household?
So, my kids are very much into the Reds for like 10, 15 minutes every night. Like they're all on board 100%. And then they're like, so this, especially like 2-3 weeks ago, they were out after 5 minutes. Now I maybe get 15 minutes
out
of them. So I feel like the vibes are, well, let's say the tides are rising, if you will, in the sense of they're like, oh, hit. Okay. I mean, to me, I measure the success of the Reds based upon how my 1-year-old doesn't care at all. I mean, he just looks at the green field. My 3-year-old and 5-year-old, though, are a calibration to how the Reds are doing. So if they're out after 5 minutes, it's not good. If they're in for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, if I get them to the third inning, great success.
Who are the kids' favorite players?
So my daughter, so we actually took my 2 oldest to the Florence Y'alls game on Sunday. And if, for everybody listening, if you don't know this, on their website, they do in fact sit on the first base side. The home team is on the first base side. They have that reversed on their website. So we were on we were in the second row, right at the dugout, and my daughter kept going, "Hey boys," and it was terrifying for me. Real into boys. So her favorite player is all of them. Teddy, my other son, or my oldest son, is it's Elly De La Cruz.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Michael Rolfe, when I say the second place Cincinnati Reds, what goes through your head?
Now or 2 weeks ago?
Now.
Because two weeks ago it was this season has crescendoed and we're done. Now it's anything's possible. Kevin Garnett, anything is possible.
So, what do you think? What's your prediction the rest of the year? I mean, do you think this team has a chance? Obviously, the Reds have already played, knock on wood, the more difficult part of their schedule. They've got their big West Coast road trips out of the way. Just had someone on Twitter mention that the Padres and Diamondbacks, the Reds have no more games against them, two teams that the Reds will be fighting with for a playoff spot. What do you think? What do you think the Reds' chances are here?
I have thought 86 wins from the get-go, and I got a little worried about that, and I don't know that gets the Reds to the playoffs. Honestly, I don't know. But with the way they're playing right now, I think they could do 86 wins again. I mean, anywhere it could be 82 to 90. Truly, I don't think these guys are so young, and that's the beauty of baseball is sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and it's when you have that luxury and you're just playing for the fun of the game. And I mean, literally the entire team, other than like 5 dudes that are playing or are on the roster, are here within the last 2 to 3 years. It's crazy. It's crazy to see how successful they are. I mean, I read a stat the other day. Elly De La Cruz, his batting line, his stats across the board paralleled Barry Bonds. Now, obviously, whatever. Barry Bonds had some issues, so whatever. But in his early career, Barry Bonds was the best hitter the game has ever seen. His first 10 years in the game. I would argue that. I truly would. His stat line, his batting average, his RBIs, his home runs, they're like 1 or 2 off from everything that Elly has done. He's 22 years old. It's crucial to remember that. I mean, imagine what he's been doing when he's 24. He's going to be hitting 324 with 4,000 RBIs and 4 million home runs and he's going to be throwing hats in the stands to be worth $1 million. It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, we're witnessing.
We got another super chat from Chase. I'm not going to super chat about how awesome Michael Rolfe is. That was.
I'm not awesome. I'm here. I love Chatterbox Sports.
Michael
and
Rolfe.
I believe in this brand, and it's fun. That's all this is.
Michael Rolfe, you are awesome. I got one last question for you, and then we'll get to some Reds MILB, and we'll preview tomorrow's pitching matchup. When you see Elly De La Cruz slander, what does it make Michael Rolfe want to do? Oh boy. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not doing it. But it was fun to think about.
Eagle Rare.
It scared me. My heart jumped out of my chest.
I had my hand on the cork see what I did there? The cork bottom as they did to Elly De La Cruz a couple years ago. Or like, oh, something's wrong with the end of his bat.
Stupid Nationals.
Well, gentlemen, this has been so much fun. I'm gonna let you get back to it. I am happy to put on the basketball hoop or send the basketball hoop directly to Trace because he clearly.
Well, can you do a dunk for us on the way out? I could full screen you. Well, if you can make this work.
I will not steal Trace's thing.
Well, Trace isn't here. We have no dunker.
But I will do this. I will dunk. I will finish the rest of the Enquirer and then drop it right to the hoop. But if it breaks, then I'll just
go
and then I'm out.
All right, full screen.
I haven't tried this on yet, gentlemen and ladies. Here we go.
Still going. It's sideways.
It's sideways. Who cares? For the win.
Athlete.
Michael Rolfe, you are a legend. We appreciate you. I hope you can find a way to get that basketball hoop off of you.
Well, I mean, it kind of looks like a Bulls jersey, but it is what it is. Thank you guys for having me on. This was super fun. Happy to do it anytime. If you guys want a wild perspective on life, anything. Nick, if you want advice on kids, I've been there, got the T-shirt. So
I could.
You don't need my advice, but we can cry together on here.
Yeah, that's All right, appreciate you, Michael. You're the best. Take care, brother.
All right, see you guys.
See ya. Michael Rolfe. Man,
the basket going on sideways was just perfect comedy. Perfect comedy. He did that on purpose, ladies and gentlemen, for sure. Just had to add to the comedy, Nick.
All right, let's get back on to some Reds time. We got a super chat from Ned Flanders. And Ned, I appreciate you super chatting because this was one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today. But, I don't have that pretty little rundown in the middle. So sometimes I lose track. So this is a really good one. So appreciate you, Ned. So, Nick, does the Brandon Williamson news mean anything for Ashcraft, or is Spires next up? My guess, and Craig, I'll give you a chance to give your opinion here in a second, is the Reds had a pretty good idea of what was going on with Brandon Williamson, and there was some concern before this decision was made. The Reds don't need a starter until the 18th. I believe because Ashcraft was because Williamson was put on the IL, that Ashcraft can actually come back up early. Not 100% sure on that. I know, I think I butchered that, but nonetheless, I think Ashcraft will be back up here either on the 18th, or maybe they do a bullpen game to get back to Ashcraft. But my guess is the Reds knew what was going on with Williamson. Doesn't sound great on Williamson, though. I mean, the news, the way I read it, sounds like he's probably like in the Matt McClain camp if he pitches again, and if you see him again in 2024, you're excited, but you probably shouldn't expect it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Just for those that didn't hear, I assume that most of you did, obviously, but for those that didn't, the Reds today returned Brandon Williamson from his rehab assignment in Louisville. David Bell said that he will be shut down for at least 7 days and then reevaluated. There's no timetable on his return. His original rehab stint was scheduled to expire on June 18th. But the news came today after yesterday. David Bell said that Brandon Williamson is, quote, not all the way there yet from his shoulder injury, and he'll be part of the conversation when he's ready to go because of how he pitched last year. So interesting that we got comments from David Bell yesterday about Brandon Williamson, and then today turns out that Brandon Williamson returned to the IL. Like Nick said, I do believe that to confirm your thoughts, I do think that since they added a player to returned a player to the injured list, that Graham Ashcraft technically is able to return. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of line that up, or do they go with a bullpen game on the 18th, and then that gives them an extra 5 days to figure out where they're at. I think a lot will be told in the next 7 days in terms of kind of what they find out from Brandon Williamson, and but then also how Graham Ashcraft responds to being, down in Louisville over the next 10 or 11 days, and what he can show in terms of progress there. Carson Spires seems to be the only real option as it pertains to starts. I don't see them bringing up someone like Connor Phillips or Lyon Richardson to fill in a spot start in a situation like this. It doesn't feel like burning an option for those two would make sense at this point for them. So I would think that it's either going to be Ashcraft, Spires, or a bullpen. My gut says that, at least for the 18th, that it would lean towards bullpen and give them a couple extra days to figure out what they're going to do for the remainder of the season, or at least the short term after that.
Yeah, I mean, this was clearly the right decision, even if Ashcraft can't come back on the 18th. I mean, you had an opportunity to go with a 4-man rotation against some quality competition, and as much as I want to make fun of the Cubs, I still think the Cubs are overall, they're at least a 500 baseball team. So I think you had an opportunity to go with a 4-man rotation. You have 4 pitchers that are clearly way ahead of everyone else. And to be quite honest, and not to be too much of take Graham Ashcraft while he's down, I'm not sure that Nick Martinez and Carson Spires piggyback is actually worse than Graham Ashcraft. So like, it doesn't really bother me at all. That might honestly be a better option if if let's say Graham Ashcraft goes down and just gets shelled in his 2 starts at AAA, I think you might call Carson Spires back up. Carson Spires, by the way, threw a gem the other day in his start at AAA. You might just call Carson Spires up. You piggyback him with Nick Martinez and try to get Nick Martinez a couple days off before he pitches so he can give you like 3 innings. And to be quite frank, that's probably a better option than a Graham Ashcraft if he doesn't, kind of fix what's been, ailing him, for lack of a better word, in recent memory.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. For those of you following along, I just I don't know why you would be, but I am, because I'm weird like this. But the Los Angeles Dodgers just took a 2-0 lead in the top of the 11th over the New York Yankees. If the Dodgers were able to hold on and win this game, it would end the Yankees win streak and make the Reds the longest active win streak in Major League Baseball. So keeping an eye on that. Nick, I do want to touch on one other piece, if you don't mind, and that is that today was game 162 for Elly De La Cruz. We talked about it last night, so we don't need to do a whole bunch on it, but in his first 162 games, 24 home runs, 68 stolen bases. The Reds in those games, in games that Elly De La Cruz starts, 82-77 in games that Elly De La Cruz starts. So, I think we've seen plenty, and certainly the stats show his wins above replacement and the value that he brings to this team. But this is a winning ball club when Elly De La Cruz starts. And so I think we're seeing that trend start now. Like Michael Rolfe said, this team could end up anywhere from 82 to 90 wins still. And for everybody that jumped off the bandwagon early, Elliott Rearing, it's not too late to get back on.
We won't punch anyone while we're down. Yeah, and I honestly, I think like 84 wins probably gets you at least into the last weekend of the season. What was it, 83 last year? I'm not sure these teams are better. Now, look, some of these teams, they might have a couple teams that just get absolutely hot. Last year, no one got hot in September. Really, the Diamondbacks kind of did, but that was it. Every season's different in its own entity, and how things are going to play out, it's hard to predict. But right now, my best guess, if you said, Nick, what do you think it takes? What do you think the final wild card spot will get? I'd probably say 84 wins will probably be it. Now, again, someone could get hot and it could, get up to 87. It could even go lower than that. it's possible at some point, especially with how many interleague games you have, that we're going to have a sub 500 team in the playoffs. It hasn't happened yet, but the Diamondbacks were it was close last year. So it could happen. Obviously, that's not the way you would want to get into the playoffs. But I think this Reds team could absolutely get to 85 wins. I don't think that's super crazy. But more than anything, it's going to come down to health. It's going to come down to the thing you can't predict, the thing you can't really bank on or plan on. It's going to come down to health, not just with the Reds, but with a lot of these other teams. A lot of these other teams are just as dependent on health as the Reds are. So that's something kind of to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if the season ended today, you'd have 2 wildcard teams that are under 500. So
yeah,
certainly possible. And if the Reds can stay hot and continue to win ball games, I think 84 more than likely gets them into a position to be battling for a wild card, if not in. And who knows what happens the last couple of weeks of the season? Get hot again and work your way up. So you got lots of divisional games still on the radar, lots of winnable games still. You made it through your toughest month, and now you're battling back and getting back on the horse. So I'm excited for the rest of the season, excited for the win streak right now, and excited that Elly De La Cruz is my shortstop.
Yeah, and right now you have 3 teams in the Phillies, the Orioles, and the Yankees that all have a higher win percentage than any team in baseball had last year. So you would expect that those teams are going to come back down to earth a little bit. I don't expect the Yankees to play 703 baseball for an entire year. I think they're probably a 650, type win team if everything goes well for them. So that'll kind of also, I think, maybe get some of these other win totals back up. It's just these other teams are just off to such incredible starts that I think it's also kind of kept everyone in. And there really isn't teams that are getting outside of the White Sox, which they're in the American League. In the National League, there's not a team that's absolutely atrocious. Like the Colorado Rockies are one of the worst teams in baseball, and they're 22-40. And other than playing the Reds, they've played pretty well of late. Like, and the Marlins were off to such a dreadful start. They've actually played decent baseball to kind of get up to 22-41. So I think it's not necessarily about these last wildcard teams are just completely atrocious. It's a lot of it's depending on the teams at the top and the teams at the bottom. Teams at the top being very competent, teams at the bottom not being as completely incompetent as you might expect. All right, we got a couple.
Those White Sox have lost 14 straight, Nick.
Yeah, they need a 2022 Nick Kirby to come join White Sox Twitter. All right, Sean Krutka. I think I said it right. Doubt it would happen, but would either one of you be interested in Luis Robert? Sounds like the White Sox are shopping him. I know this has been a hot topic. Obviously, with a player with Luis Roberts' ability becomes possibly available. And if you're the Chicago White Sox, I don't know why the hell you wouldn't trade him. And he honestly might be one of the players that they may try to trade before the trade deadline. Like, he's healthy right now. They may say, take him right now. They may not wait because you're running a risk with him. Problem with a guy like Luis Robert is every single team that's in a playoff race could be interested in Luis Robert. So I don't know. I mean, again, it all depends on the return, but man, I'm not giving up the farm system for a guy that has been hurt as much as he has. I put up his injury report the other day, and it was a whole screen. It literally covered my entire 32-inch screen that I have over here. So I don't know. I mean, he clearly would be a guy that would help the Reds if he's on the field. But what's the chances he's actually on the field? You want to give up the farm, and then the guy's hurt? I mean, that's where you have to really, a little more of a balance. I mean, I honestly would almost be more interested in the Reds trying to get someone that's a little bit more of like a salary dump type guy. I think the Reds should hopefully be able to add on a little bit of salary if they continue to win. I know we've talked about guys like Josh Bell. Maybe there's someone like that's still owed quite a bit of money. Has 1 or 2 more years left to where you're not going to have to give up a big prospect haul to get them back. That's more of the moves that I think would make sense for the Reds. What's your thoughts, Greg?
I just think that the haul for Luis Roberts is going to be way too much in order to make it worth it for the Reds team to take that kind of a risk against an off-injured player. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's literally played in 10 games so far this year. I mean, it's obviously a very small sample size. He's hitting 200 this year with a 695 OPS. His splits are solid. I mean, against right-handed pitching, he's hitting 161, but against left-handed pitching, he's hitting 333. He's hitting 333 in 9 at bats. It just, this is a guy who historically has been a very good offensive bat. But when you're talking about a guy who's been injured and over the course of the last couple seasons, like I'm not really sure how you can give up the type of return that I think the White Sox are going to expect for a guy who has only really played a full season once in his career. I mean, last year was his best year by far. Obviously, he played in 145 games, hit 264 with 38 home runs. Like before that, in 2022, he played in 98 games. And then in 2021, he only played in 68 games. So I don't know, like it just the returns that some of these guys are talking about on Twitter and X in terms of what it's going to take to land someone like Lewis Robert. I don't know that he improves you enough with the platoon that you've been able to run out there every day as it is to make it worth it. Like all you're doing is adding another right-handed bat to a platoon where I don't know that it's really, really necessary. And I mean, the splits this year are good against left-handed pitchers. In his career, he's batting 336 against left-handed pitching. So, like, don't get me wrong, the guy could come in and be an absolute stud in a platoon rotation, but you're gonna have to give up potentially multiple top 10 prospect level guys in order to get him. I just don't see how that makes sense for the Reds. And I honestly, in addition to that, it just doesn't, like, that's not a move that Nick Krall makes. And so it doesn't feel like that's a realistic expectation for Reds fans at this point. I wouldn't get my hopes up personally.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to remember, the White Sox are a team that I think is probably going to be looking for players that can help them in the near future. That does not seem like a franchise that has typically been super patient. I don't think they're going to be like, hey, let's get all your players that are at the Arizona complex. Let's take Sheng-In Lin. No, they're going to be wanting Cam Collier. They're going to be wanting guys that are getting closer. Sal Stewart. And again, do you want to be on the other end of a Tyler Mahle trade? I don't. That's something you risk when you do something like that, especially for a player that's had the injury risk that he has. All right, a couple more super chats. Red Legs halfway to 12. Can we get Rolf his own Chatterbox show if they beat it? I don't have the power for that. Game day 513, but you can talk to the boss tomorrow. He'll be back, and maybe he can make it happen. And then Michael Rolf, he's still going. No super chats for me tonight, but I am proud to have started my third career joining Chatterbox Sports as a perennial unpaid employee. Nick and Craig took a chance tonight. Hopefully it was fun. Thank you guys. Michael, it was a blast.
I love how he assumes that I'm also an employee here. Like I'm joining the Michael Rolf train here. I'm an unpaid employee as well, Michael. So the only difference is I'm not paying my employer like you've been paying so much. So, to be fair, it's a little bit different, but I'm unpaid as well, my friend.
We don't charge you to come on the show like we charge Michael Rolf. All right, should we get into some Reds MILB, Craig?
It seems like an appropriate time to do that.
All right, let's see. What do we do? Yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. Kind of full screen. Yeah. All right, let's roll with that. All right. So let me pull up my other screen. A little harder to do without the other graphics package and stuff that we use. All right, so we'll start off with AAA. They just went final. Louisville lost 6-5 to Nashville. Bats struggled a little bit of late. They're 33-27 on the year. A lot of pitchers in action of note. First one, we'll start with the good. Christian Rowe, he threw 3 shutout innings, 3 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Guy with a ton of talent, but he struggled with walks. So Rowe is a guy that's on the 40-man roster right now. He's added this offseason. So he's a potential option, to be a guy. The Reds have moved him into a bullpen role, but he's almost being used in that Nick Martinez, Carson Spires type role. So Christian Rowe, he's the guy to watch. He's the guy that I think could very well find his way on the big league roster this season. Probably doesn't get talked about enough. Tough day for Zach Maxwell. He gave up 3 hits and 3 runs in an inning. I'm going to go back and watch that. I'll try to give a little bit more of an opinion on exactly what happened on the podcast tomorrow morning. So if you want to check out that. Alex Young, he gave up a run. That's his first game since he got demoted. Nick Martini, he hit a home run tonight. Chattanooga, they lost 3-2. Poor Chattanooga. They gave up a run in the 8th. They had a lead too. Oh man. 15-40. 15-40. They are the Chicago White Sox of the minor league. So tough sled for Chattanooga. I didn't see a single thing on the box score that was worth mentioning. Dayton, they won 7-5. A big comeback win. They were down 3-0. Sal Stewart had a huge day. He had been scuffling a little of late. He had a double and a homer. Jay Allen homered. Big day for Jay Allen. He was 2 for 3. So some really good days down at Dayton tonight. All right, and then Low A, Daytona, they won 10-3 over St. Lucie. A lot of good stuff in this one. Ricardo Cabrera, he's having a great year, 4 for 5 with a walk, hitting 286 with an 835 OPS through 48 games. May not sound like a lot, but as we mentioned, the Florida State League is a very difficult league to hit in. That OPS ranks 8th best in the entire league. Ariel Almonte, our deep drive of the day, hit his 13th home run. As mentioned, no one else has more than 9. Now, Almonte is only hitting $194. I had someone on Twitter say Aquino 2.0. I was like, I don't know if he's even Aquino. Aquino had a better average and a lower strikeout rate at that level. So we'll wait and see. But nonetheless, it's cool to see him, hit as many home runs as he is in a very difficult league. One other note from this game, Adam Serwinski, really talented left-handed pitcher, walked 6 today. That was a career high for him. Having a nice season, but walks kind of starting to catch up with him a little bit. And then the DSL Rojas, they were rained out today, so we didn't have anything from them. The ACL Reds, they're in action. They trail 8-2 to the ACL Brewers. Sheng-In Lin is 0-4-2. So that is your Reds MILB. Any big Reds MILB thoughts, Craig?
Sounds like a great day for power in the MILB. Even though the Reds major league team didn't get a home run today. Lots of home runs in the minors today.
Yeah, I think it's time to promote Jay Allen. That's my thing I'm on. That Chattanooga team sucks. Give them Jay Allen. He's been in the minors leagues long enough. Give them something. Throw them a bone. They just lost Tyler Callahan, their only offensive player that's done anything all year. Promote Jay Allen.
Jay Allen batting 299 on the season. 7th home run tonight, obviously. Might be a chance to give him a chance up at Chattanooga.
Yeah, he's a fun player. He is a fun player. All right. Speaking of fun players, Andrew Abbott on the bump tomorrow. 4:10 start. This is on the MLB Network, as well as Bally, MLB Network if you're out of town. Abbott, last start, I thought he threw the ball really well for being in Coors Field. 6 innings, 3 runs. Really great. They only walked 1 batter, struck out 6. He has not faced the Cubs this season, has a 4.66 career ERA against the Cubs. And then for the Cubs, Ben Brown, a guy that the Reds just hit hard, 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs. Brown had been absolutely rolling coming into that start. From April 9th to May 28th, he had a 1.55 ERA. So hopefully the Reds can, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. A, beat the Cubs, or kill 3 stones. A, beat the Cubs. B, win a series. And 3, really get Ben Brown's confidence in the dumper. I mean, this guy came in to Wrigley last weekend feeling great. He was rolling. Reds beat the crap out of him. Let's beat the crap out of him again. Division rival. Team we're fighting for the playoff spot. Really make this guy feel like he's not a big league pitcher. TJ Friedel homered against him. Candelario was 2 for 3. Any thoughts about this matchup tomorrow, Craig?
No, another exciting matchup. Ben Brown, a right-handed pitcher, means that we get our left-handed bats back at the plate. So Big Red Platoon back in action tomorrow. Elly De La Cruz batting from the left side of the plate. Andrew Abbott struggled in his previous start in St. Louis. He went 6 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs in that one. Gave up 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, but gave up 2 homers. Hasn't faced the Cubs yet this year, so let's see what he can do and if he can continue to cement himself as a top of the rotation guy for this Reds ball club.
Let's go. Great point, Alex. MLB Network's great. When is Cincy going to get ESPN Sunday Night Baseball? I got to be honest. When I saw their schedule come out, I was like, why the hell are they not putting Elly De La Cruz on Sunday Night Baseball? Like, I thought Elly would get on there. I mean, are they just so dead set on big markets? Is ESPN that dead in the water that they can't even put Elly De La Cruz on here? I don't get it. I agree, Alex. I don't know if I necessarily would love a Sunday night game doing a post game show, to be honest, selfishly. But it would be a lot of fun. There's a different vibe about being on Sunday Night Baseball. Like, they have a whole full hour-long pregame show, like Fox now. When the Reds were on Fox before, Craig, I know when me and you were growing up, they had like a whole hour-long pregame show. It felt really cool. Now we're just lucky to see the first inning if the Canadian Arena Chinese Football League is off in time. It's just, I agree. Alex, that's a great point. Let's start tweeting. You know what, everyone? Tweet at ESPN. Every single person in this chat tonight tweeted ESPN. So why aren't you putting the Cincinnati Reds on Sunday Night Baseball? They're a bunch of frauds. Let's go.
Yeah. This is back-to-back nights, Nick, over 200 likes. So I know you didn't. We got 200 likes. So.
Oh, okay. I can't believe the chat. Did I say 200? I don't remember what I said.
I don't know what you said. It doesn't matter. Take a drink.
Yeah, I'll take a drink. I might have said 250. But you know what?
Doesn't matter. The Reds have a 6-game winning streak. We've got 250 people still in here at this point watching us, BS our way through this show. They deserve a drink. That one hit, huh? That one hit a little different, huh?
Yeah. All right. Nick Cage. I don't know where I'm going.
Together?
Yeah. You ready? This show's so weird, man. I don't get it. I really don't.
Oh, man.
I went upside down. All right. I do not know why anyone watches this. I don't get it. It's some weird stuff, man. We do some weird stuff. But I appreciate you nonetheless. You pay my salary by watching.
Definitely hit the cat.
Oh, no. Cat down. All right. Well, any parting thoughts, Craig? And what's the cat's name?
This is Ruby. 6 straight for the Reds. Let's make it 7 tomorrow.
7. Let's do it. All right. Well, have a great night, everyone. Like the stream podcast. If you could leave us a 5-star review on the podcast feed, that really helps us out. We've been kind of trending back up, trying to get back up in. We were in the top 50 one day for baseball podcasts. I was really excited. Then we dropped back down. But those 5-star reviews, they help you with the algorithm. So some 5-star reviews in the podcast, really would appreciate that. Have a fantastic night. See you tomorrow around 6:40 or so. Trace is supposed to be back. Talking soon. Go Reds.
Yankees lose.
Oh, man.